Hi, my name's David Fulcher, and I just want to give you a quick thumb sketch of what would be covered in this series of lectures on clinical immunobiology. Now, what is clinical immunobiology? It combines clinical immunology with the basic science, and it's therefore directed at those with a medical bent, medical training, specialist exam, internal medicine, all that sort of thing. Because when we teach immunobiology, medicos gradually sort of tune off. It's all too complicated, it's all too basic. But when you introduce the clinical implications for doctors of that biology, it becomes much more exciting, much more relevant. They all start paying attention, and that is the aim of teaching. So what happens in clinical immunobiology is we teach the clinical immunology, the diagnosis and management of patients with immune diseases, alongside the basic science of the immune system, otherwise known as immunobiology. So I coined the term clinical immunobiology to represent the basic biology of the immune system that is specifically relevant to the immunopathogenesis of disease and therapeutics, which is the focus of those in medical training. So we cover the basics of the immune system. We apply that knowledge to understand how immune diseases may come about, with particular emphasis on immunodeficiency and allergy. But we also talk about the principles of autoimmunity. And it's hoped that if we understand the basis behind these, behind the therapeutic inventions and the clinical implications, that we'll be able to understand disease better and understand how therapeutics work, and indeed come up with new ways of treating disease. So you've probably here, for whatever reason, but hopefully as directed in the blurb of the Primer of Clinical Immunobiology, an ebook which I'm releasing this year, which summarises all these concepts into a book. It's based on the course that I've been running for about 20 years now, aimed at medical graduates in specialist internal medicine training. And maybe you've looked through the chapter headings and got a bit daunted and felt like wanting to learn by a different medium, such as this lecture series. Now, just to illustrate the clinical immunobiology concept, I teach, for example, the classical or the complement pathways. We teach the classical pathway, and shortly thereafter we talk about hereditary angioedema, one of the most important offshoots of understanding the classical pathway. And of course we teach all the basics of immunoglobulins and subclasses, but before you glaze over, we then talk about IgG4 related disease specifically, and indeed we talk about what happens when IgG is missing in disorders of gamma globulin production, such as CVID. Lots of graphics. There's just about as much graphics. There's a graphic on every slide. There's a graphic on every page of the primer, as you've probably noticed, because I think that really helps learning. So this lecture series is no different to the book in that regard. There are lots of pictures, most of which I've written and drawn myself. That's another story that you may not be interested in it, but suffice it to say there's lots of visual support for the stuff that I present. So this is how it's structured. For every chapter in the primer, there is a lecture, and you can follow along in the primer, or you can do the lecture and then revise in the primer. However you like to structure it is just fine. So what is it? It's a series of video lectures. It's about 27 or so. And you rent those for 30 days. You have access to those, just you, for that whole period of time. You can stop, pause, rewind, you can listen to them again. As long as you get through all of them in about 30 days. So there's about 20 hours of lectures, so no problem. Do an hour a day and you'll be through it in no time. At the end of each lecture are some consolidation questions, so a few MCQs that you can work through just to make sure that you've understood the concepts or the essential bits of what has been presented. And we finish the whole course just like we do with the book, running through the immunology in a page graphic that you will find in the primer, where we summarise the entire immune system in a single lecture and a single page. So that's really good revision for just before the night before an exam, whatever, or just for to get the immunobiology concepts sorted in your own mind in one go. Okay, now once you've done the course, you may want to test your knowledge a bit further by heading back to Apple Books or Kindle and getting hold of the MCQs in clinical immunobiology, or you could just do the lecture, the same, essentially the same material. Some people like it in written form, some people like it in video presentation, some people like it in both. So you can head over there once you finish this series of lectures and have another revision of everything that you have learned. Okay, so all those materials are over in Vimeo, the Immunology for Physicians site. We're talking about immunology for physicians here, and I mentioned the MCQs in Clinical Immunobiology Book 1. Hopefully there will be a Book 2, but let's see how this goes first. There's an Australian version, Immunology for BPTs, which has about 3 or 4 extra lectures and includes all the MCQs in it. So you can do that if you want to, but this Immunology Physicians is the one mostly there to illustrate or to provide in a lecture format what is in the primer. And just because there is so much material to cover in this area, I've kept what I think are the most important bits in the lectures, but the other things which can help your learning and illustrate and extend your knowledge, I've stuck on the Patreon teaching website. So you can head over to that URL, and you can join up for nothing, but to access all the lectures requires a monthly fee, all of which I give to charity. So if you've finished a chapter and you want to, or the book or the lectures, and you want to consolidate further and look at more learning materials, head over to the Patreon site. All right, so that's one slide of all the things that we've covered, the resources are there for your immunology learning. So the primer, the Patreon, and of course the Vimeo streamed lectures are all available. So any questions, email me. Otherwise, happy learning.